Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, this video is concerned with giving you some information about the class and empirical asset pricing that I give this summer term. It is with respect to the lecture given by me. There is another video regarding the practical class, which you see on this page, also on the right-hand side. And I talk a bit about that class, that's practical class 2. All right, some facts about the class, contact addresses. Most importantly, I'm the lecturer, Joachim Gramig, and you see my email address here. Alex Reining is the TA, teaching assistant. He's responsible for the practical class. And there's Sylvia Berger, who is our team secretary. And you can write her about appointments in office hours and administrative issues if you want to. The lecture itself takes place in 2 slots during the week. It's Tuesday and Wednesdays, both at 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. in the Kupferbau in lecture room H23. The lecture is accompanied by a couple of tutorial videos. Those of you who've done classes with me before know about the format. These tutorial videos are concerned with peculiar aspects which we don't have time to cover at length in class, like proofs of certain theorems of important results, some detailed derivations concerning mostly the econometric and statistical aspects of empirical asset pricing, which I think are useful because when you read these things up in a book, sometimes these results are a bit dispersed and they build upon other results before, and the exposition in these tutorial videos are trying to be more streamlined and actually being focused on the respective derivation or proof at hand. Unlike in earlier classes, where these tutorial videos were sort of been separately from the slides that you see here, these videos are now embedded in the slides. We'll take a look at this a bit later, which enables you to access those videos quicker. And for the Mac users, we have the advantage now that you actually have now sound and not only video, because earlier the sound was not there in the typical players available for Mac, so you had to download them, and it was a bit of a cumbersome work to get access to the videos. Now it's just one click. The lectures, all my lectures are accompanied by a set of questions for review. This is a PDF which is going to be updated every week, and it contains, well, questions for review that concern the material that I cover during the week, where you have these 2 lectures. And the idea is that you can work on these questions alone or in a study group, and you can structure your revision of the class along those questions for review, which I think is very important and useful because it basically keeps you on track in the lecture. The idea is to really continue learning in this class and not basically postponing the learning till the very end before the exam, which typically doesn't work. These things we deal with in the lecture are of a certain complexity, and understanding these topics, subjects, concepts takes time. You can't rush that understanding. Okay, so this is why you should work on these questions for review every week, again, as I said, alone or in a study group. I'm sometimes asked whether I have solutions for the questions for review. And I always say, well, this is a kind of a wrong question in a way, because these are questions, and questions, they have answers. Right? The answers can be sophisticated, comprehensive, or, well, insufficient, poor, and incomprehensible even, the answer that I would give to my own questions will arguably be very sophisticated, could be sophisticated, and of a sophistication that you can expect from a professor who's teaching the subject, but not necessarily the answers which I would expect from a student in class. So my answers are specific to my level of education and my level of understanding of the subject, but this is different to yours. So even if I would provide the answers to my questions, they wouldn't be very helpful for you. As a matter of fact, all my answers to these questions are implicitly already given in the class because, well, they are questions which relate to subjects which I deal with in the class. And by teaching, I have in mind, as a matter of fact, those questions. So the questions, in a way, are already given in any class. I'm trying to be comprehensible and convey the subjects in a manner such that it is comprehensible to you. Okay. So questions have answers. Questions don't have solutions. You should work on these answers by yourself. We can discuss about your answers if you like in office hours or after the lecture on the lecture break if you want to. But I won't provide answers to my own questions because for the aforementioned reasons, it wouldn't be helpful for you in the first place. Okay. The fourth aspect regarding the class is this practical class, which for which Alexander is responsible. He's using MATLAB as a programming tool to implement some of the concepts that we deal with in class, econometrically, financial, economic wise. And I always think this is extremely useful in all classes to have such a practical class where you can implement concept in software. So aside from derivations and proofs and so forth, there is this hands-on experience that computers enable us to obtain. And this is what this class is designed for, is you're going to implement estimation methods, test statistics, and prepare basically answers to assignments. And by doing that, you learn a lot. You'll not only learn the material from a theoretical perspective, but you also get a hand-on perspective. My experience over many, many years is that this is very helpful for the students. It enables you to being able to address empirical issues in finance, maybe empirical asset pricing, but beyond that as well, because you can actually implement those formulae that you see in the papers that you read, or the books that you read by your own, and with your own skills, if you like, that you've acquired. And actually, as a matter of fact, this is for seminar theses or master theses incredibly important. And the level of sophistication that the seminar thesis and master thesis that have been written in the recent years is very good. And I think due to the fact that these practical classes enable the students to actually perform that way. More about the practical class in detail in the video prepared by Alexander. So about the weekly frequency of the assignments, about the mandatory assignments to be handing in, about the grading and the passing that is necessary. I refer you to the video by Alexander. And also about the time and place where these practical or feedback sessions on the practical part take place. This is on Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m. in room EO3 in the VV Seminar Building. All the course material will be available on Elias, on the Elias platform. The slides that you have here, programs, if there need be, PDFs of some documents, and all the other stuff. There's also going to be a forum of discussion where you can pose questions, issues for discussion, where you can discuss them in this online forum among each other, or maybe with us if we feel the need to enter the discussion as well. About these tutorial videos, which you also find in Elias, I already said something. They are a bit redundantly also available on Elias. They're also embedded in the slides. So there are two ways to address these tutorial videos. On Elias, I'm also going to provide a weekly updated timetable of the course. So basically a table to see what basically what have we done, what have we dealt with, so to keep a list of a kind of a protocol of the lecture in a way. Okay. Now, some more facts. I'm a big fan of a textbook that came out a couple of years ago by John Cochran, which is still a classic in the subject of empirical asset pricing. And some of the important sections of the book are available as PDFs on Elias, and also some other literature, which I find important and interesting, is also available as a PDF on Elias. Elias is an important platform, so you should check in regularly in the platform, and you should also check your email addresses regularly, your student email addresses, because this is where I write emails to. If there's something coming up in terms of an update regarding the class, I don't know, exam inspections, exam dates, changes of plan of lecture times, this is going to be dealt with in his email to you personally, or in the discussion forum, where I open a discussion point and say, okay, now we're dealing about the oral exam sessions and so forth. Here you find information about it. So go to Elias regularly, at least once a week, and check what is new. My recommendation for classes which get increasingly complex in a master study like this one is to form study groups. Could be a group of people, more than two, could be a pair, could be two people working together. Also on the assignments, you can work through them and basically have some kind of a peer pressure build up, such that you have an incentive to prepare for the lecture and also for your study group. It's better than working alone. And don't be worried when you have the feeling that your fellow students know something more about a certain aspect of the subject than you do. Very often this is just an impression that you have, and it's not actually true that they know more than you do. They just convey the impression. And even if it's true, you can profit from the other students and their knowledge, as they would profit from the knowledge of a certain subject where you may have an advantage over them. So it can be a win-win situation when you help each other. And also for the stronger person in the group, I would basically say this from my own experience. The best thing to learn something is to teach it. So if a very strong person is in the group and he teaches you what he knows, arguably the person who benefits most of it is the person who is actually teaching. So even if you feel very strong, very secure, take the opportunity to enter a study group and teach the others, because you learn very much from it. I already mentioned that, in my opinion, the idea to work continuously on a complex subject is absolutely important. You need time in between learning sessions, sleeping over it, and basically thinking about the problem new after you slept over the night. So work continuously, intermittently, of course, intermittent by sleep, but don't procrastinate and don't postpone learning until the end. Try to have a continuous work schedule for demanding classes. Okay. Take notes during lectures. This is one of the important tips that I have. I often see students sitting in front of me, having their arms crossed and listening to me, and their body posture basically is not very receptive, as I think. But there are other students who basically are very busily writing down things, looking at me, looking and hearing very actively. I hear them participating in class. It's a very different attitude that students have in classes. And what I really recommend you to have this active attitude, so listening, writing down things. And whilst you're writing it down, you take these notes, and maybe after home you basically look at them again and correct errors and write them new, and thereby you prepare your own lecture script. I've seen beautiful lecture scripts, almost like books that people have been preparing, and these were the most successful students in class. And as a student myself, I experienced that feeling of empowerment that you have when you work with your own notes for preparation of exams. Relatively late in my student career, but it was an absolute game changer. So please, in the class, be attentive. Try to write things down, not only when I write things down, but also when I speak. I sometimes speak about very important things that I express only orally and don't write it on the blackboard, but you should have written them down. The same holds true, by the way, when you work through the tutorial videos, which are basically a lecture in tutorial form. Also there, take notes when you watch the video. Maybe rewind when you basically have not understood something, which is an advantage that you have actually now, because in these tutorial videos, you can stop them, think about them, have a coffee, rewind, watch again. Don't watch these videos in a higher speed. Some people say, okay, I need to watch these videos, so I'm increasing speed by 4 times or whatever. No, don't do that. They are designed for a certain speed, and good teaching is slow teaching. You can't speed the process up, as I said before, the learning process. The helping each out thing I mentioned already. In case a friend missed the class, help him or her by sharing your notes, going through the lecture with your fellow student, your friend. Maybe don't lend all the material because it might get lost. Take a copy maybe of the material together with your friend and help each other. It's kind of important to do that. With respect to exams, there are 2 parts. First, you have to pass a mandatory assignment. One of the weekly assignments is going to be a mandatory one. So you're requested to basically write a small paper, which involves a programming task and a writing down a little paper task, which involves tables and figures. You hand this mandatory assignment in, and it's going to be graded, or it gets a pass grade or not a pass grade. And if in case you have a non-pass grade, you can basically rewrite your mandatory assignment uh, and resubmit it. And if this is sufficient, then you have a pass. If you do a very good assignment, you might even get an upgrade for your final exam grade by 1 grade point step. So if your exam would be graded, say 2, you will get a 1.7. If you have a 1.7, you will have a 1.3 and so forth. So very good assignments actually push your grades up. The exam itself in this class, again, is going to be an oral exam, taking about 25, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how long it takes me to arrive at a grade. The oral exams are typically very fair exams because I basically can have the level of the exam a bit adapted to the student and the student's nervousness. And it's typically a very good way of having examinations, in particular in the times of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, because in the oral exam you're only left with your own intelligence, your own preparation, no aid and anything. What you can do, however, in the oral exam is as a safety net, if you like. You can bring your handwritten lecture notes that you hopefully have prepared to the exam. There will not be time to deeply look into trivial stuff during the oral exam, and there will not be intricate questions regarding proofs in the oral exam either, which you may have written down. So yes, you can bring your lecture notes, but you will probably not need to take a look at them. However, the handwritten lecture notes are useful to prepare yourself for the exam, such that if you have them, you won't need them anymore. Okay. There are regular office hours if you want to talk to me, aside from the lecture, would be Thursdays from 1 till 2 p.m. And you should contact Miss Bürger for a special appointment for the appointment time, because it avoids waiting times for you. All right. When we move on, we already move into the slides, and maybe just to get you the idea where these tutorial videos are coming from, I just scroll down to the slides, which we're going to take a look into during the lectures. By the way, if you see something like that, if you see a remark that says lecture notes, I did see something like that. I will look at that a bit later, excuse me. Oh, here we see something like lecture notes. Typically, these are places where I sit down in the class and provide some additional material regarding that slide. So the slide is kind of incomplete and needs some further explanations. And where you see these notes down there, the blue lecture notes, you're gonna expect to have something written down, something I derive on the blackboard or on my computer. When you see a deep blue link like or sea blue link like that one, it actually is a link and it gives you to a certain object like a PDF or here an Excel sheet where you can find material that you find useful. And among those links are those lecture videos. Here again, we have a lecture notes thing. Here, for instance, more intensively, a couple of links to tutorial videos down there, tutorial videos on ergodicity. If you click on them, you will see a video opening that you can watch. Sort of how you can watch them without downloading anything. And if you close the video, you're going to be handing back to the slides. And there's a couple of these links that you find in the slides. Maybe a proof, a couple of lecture notes again. And here's a tutorial video that provides a proof of a theorem that claims asymptotic efficiency of an estimator. And if you click on it, you basically see me conducting that proof. It's not that you basically see the proof written down, but the proof evolves. I basically write it down. I'll show you the proof as if I was standing on the blackboard or on my computer and showing you the proof, sort of step by step. And again, these tutorial videos are embedded in the slides. Okay, so a quick scroll through the lecture slides. We're gonna begin in the first lecture week before Easter, and I'm introducing the subject and already hopefully explain you some fundamental concepts in empirical asset pricing. I should say that this is one of my favorite classes, which I give in Tübingen and also elsewhere. Sometimes I'm going to be hired at other universities for giving these type of class. It's kind of my research field, arguably the field where I am sort of have the biggest knowledge of, and I'm always looking forward to giving the class, and I hope that you will also enjoy the class and participate in it. Okay, that's it for now. See you then in class.